I would like to start by acknowledging that the University of Manitoba campuses are located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories, we acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Hello everyone, and welcome to our virtual memorial on December 6th, 2020. My name is Braden Ganetsky. I'm in my 5th year of mechanical engineering, and I am the senior stick of the University of Manitoba Engineering Society. Today marks the 31st anniversary of the massacre at École Polytechnique de Montréal on December 6, 1989. 14 women, 12 of whom were engineering students, were singled out and shot just because they were women in the engineering building. Today we gather, virtually, to honor the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women in memory of this deadliest mass shooting in Canadian history. I would now like to introduce Dr. Nariman Saperi, Acting Dean of the Price Faculty of Engineering, as well as Chancellor Anne Mahone, the Chancellor of the University of Manitoba, to say a few words.
Each year we remember the lives of the 14 women that were tragically taken from us on December 6, 1989, for no other reason than the simple fact that they were females studying engineering. We also keep in our thoughts the additional 10 women and 4 men who were injured that day at École Polytechnique in Montreal. As acting dean of the Price Faculty of Engineering, I, along with my faculty, staff, and students, extend our thoughts and prayers to the countless individuals who were and still are affected by this tragedy 31 years on. We all have a role to play in the fight against all forms of violence and discrimination. No one should ever feel like they do not belong or feel at risk for studying for the profession which they are passionate about. While the events of this tragic day will forever be a dark spot in our collective engineering history, we will honor the memory of each of the victims by continuing to combat all forms of violence against women and to strive to make our faculty a safe place for everyone, regardless of who they are, where they come from, and how they identify. We will settle for nothing less. Although we cannot gather in person this year, I ask each of our community members to pause and reflect on the events of this day 31 years ago, and to ask themselves, what more can be done, and how can each of us be a part of the solution? And to the families of those lost, please know that we will not allow your daughter, granddaughter, sister, niece, partner, or friend's death to be in vain. We will take their memory with us always as we practice the profession they never got the chance to do. Thank you.
Today we remember the 31st anniversary of the École Polytechnique Massacre in 1989. This anti-feminist attack killed 14 vibrant women. The future dreams and future potential of these women died with them that day, violently extinguished in a matter of seconds. All of the murdered women, except for one, were in their 20s. If they had lived, today they would be very close to my age, 55. The loss of their young, hope-filled lives is devastating. The loss and grief felt by those who loved them must be an eternally heavy weight. We think of all those grieving today as well. There is also the collective pain of the many who did not know the victims, but are personally impacted by the malicious, targeted nature of this massacre. These women died senselessly, but they did not die in vain. There are 2 direct positive legacies of this horrific event. One is stricter Canadian gun control laws, which survivors of this shooting advocated for. As well, the massacre has focused attention and awareness on the violence done to women. December 6th has now become a national day of remembrance of violence against women in our country. Yet, women continue to die at the hands of men. Awareness and action to address this issue must progress even further. May we never forget these women's lives, and may we use our voices to advance the cause of ending all forms of violence against women.
Hello, faculty, staff, students, and friends. My name is Avery Edwards, and I'm the secretary for UMES and in my second year of mechanical engineering. I want to thank you for watching today's memorial video for the École Polytechnique Massacre, and I hope you are remaining safe out there. As Dr. Saperi and Chancellor Mahone have already said, we are here to remember the lives of the 14 engineering women killed 31 years ago. On December 6, 1989, a man entered École Polytechnique with a loaded rifle. He entered a mechanical engineering classroom and he ordered the women to one side of the room and the men to the other. He claimed he was fighting feminism and shot and killed 6 of the 9 women. He then left the classroom and moved down the hall where he continued to shoot his way to the cafeteria, firing into the crowded room before walking to another classroom where he again targeted the females in the class. Shortly after, the police arrived and he turned the gun on himself. By the end of the massacre, in only 20 minutes, 14 women were killed and 14 individuals were injured. This man intended to scare women back into more traditional roles, but the number of females in engineering faculties across Canada has doubled since that time. As a female mechanical engineering student myself, I found putting this presentation together quite challenging. I had to do it in small segments because anytime I would sit down to edit, my mind would begin to think about myself, peers, and friends in this horrific situation. I am extremely thankful for the improvements in diversity in engineering faculties across the country, and I plan to continue this growth whenever I can. It is crucial that this tragedy is never forgotten. On this day of remembrance and action on violence against women, we remember the Montreal Massacre victims and recognize how much the situation for women in engineering has changed in the past 31 years, and recognize how far we still have to go. Although we are all online this year and cannot have this memorial in person, the names of the 14 victims will be read by Mila Labato de Faria. Afterwards, I ask you pause for a minute of silence to honor the victims and reflect on your own lives and those closest to you.
Geneviève Bergeron, civil engineering student, age 21. A second-year scholarship student in mechanical engineering, played the clarinet and sang in a professional choir. In her spare time, played basketball and swam. Maryse Leclerc, materials engineering student, age 23. She specialized in metallurgy and only had a year to go before graduation. She acted in plays in junior college, the first victim whose name was known, and she was found by her father, Montreal Police Lieutenant Pierre Leclerc. Hélène Colgain, mechanical engineering student, age 23. She was in her final year of mechanical engineering and planned to complete a master's degree. She already had 3 job offers and was leaning towards accepting one from a Toronto area company. Anne-Marie Lemay, mechanical engineering student, age 22. She always had a smile and was always in a good mood. She was a member of the South Shore Parish Choirs, where she was one of the best singers. She was in her 4th year of mechanical engineering. Nathalie Croteau, mechanical engineering student, age 23. She is another graduating mechanical engineer. She planned to take a 2-week vacation in Cancun, Mexico with Colgain at the end of the month. Sonia Pelletier, mechanical engineering student, age 28, the head of her class and the pride of Saint-Ulrich, Quebec, her remote birthplace in the Gaspe Peninsula. She had 5 sisters and 2 brothers and was killed the day before she was set to graduate with a degree in mechanical engineering. She also had a job interview lined up for the following week. Barbara Daignon, mechanical engineering student, age 22. She was set to graduate at the end of the year, and she was a teaching assistant for her father, Pierre Daignon, a mechanical engineering professor with the city's other French language engineering school at the Université de Québec à Montréal. Michelle Richard, materials engineering student, age 21. She was in her 2nd year of metallurgical engineering. She was presenting a paper with Avernic when she was killed. Anne-Marie Edward, chemical engineering student, age 21. She loved outdoor sports like skiing, diving, and riding and was always surrounded by friends. She was studying chemical engineering at the time of her death. Annie Saint-Arnaud, mechanical engineering student, age 23. A mechanical engineering student from Le Tuc, Quebec, a Laurentian pulp and paper town in the upper St. Maurice River Valley. She lived in a small apartment in Montreal. Her friends considered her a fine student. She was killed as she sat listening to a presentation in her last class before graduation. She had a job interview with Alcan Aluminum scheduled for the following day and had talked about eventually getting married to the man who had been her boyfriend since she was a teenager. Maude Avernick, materials engineering student, age 29. A second-year student in metallurgical engineering and a graduate in environmental design from the Université de Québec à Montréal. Annie Turcotte, materials engineering student, age 21. She was in her first year and lived with her brother in a small apartment near the university. She was described as gentle and athletic. She was a diver and a swimmer. She went into metallurgical engineering so she could one day help improve the environment. Maryse Lagagnère, budget clerk in the École Polytechnique's finance department, age 25. The only non-student killed, she worked in the budget department of the engineering school and had recently been married. Barbara Klucznik-Widowicz, nursing student, age 31. A first-year nursing student, she arrived in Montreal from Poland with her husband in 1987.
Thank you all for attending this virtual memorial and honoring the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women in honor of these women who were taken from us much too soon. Stay safe.